And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today, we're talking about the recent buzz around the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be talking about Josh Giddey and Coby White and their future with the Chicago Bulls. Next, we're going to be talking about Matas Buzelis and the potential of the young core for the Chicago Bulls. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. Make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead, let's jump into it as we're talking about the latest buzz here around the Chicago Bulls. And so if you have not got a chance to read this, you can head over to Spot Track. This is written by Keith Smith. And within this article, he talks about the Chicago Bulls, and there are 5 points. And so within these 5 points, you're going to see it's either an executive or a coach that said this point here. So just to give you some insight on that. And so this is intel that he got when he was at the Summer League here. And so let's start with point number 1 around Josh Giddey, because that is something that is been constantly talked about here every day as we're trying to figure out what is going to be the deal with Josh Giddey. What is the deal going to look like? And so remember, the last time we talked about Josh Giddey and the current situation, it looked like that they were definitely far apart so far as far as how much he wants to get paid annually. And so that's reports. Again, it's mere speculation here until we actually hear it from them. But it sounds like that the Chicago Bulls are at $20 million. We've heard that Josh Giddey and his camp want $30 million per year. And so we'll see how it ultimately works out. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into what was said. And so it says that on Josh Giddey, we want to get a deal done with Josh. He's as important of a player as we have. We see him as a foundational player for us. I hope we can find a deal that makes sense for us and him, and that will be together for a long time, a Bulls front office executive said. All right, and so once again, we hear an executive say that they want to keep Josh Giddey, because remember, going back to the NBA Summer League and just what AK said during the NBA TV interview there, it sounded like that he wants to definitely get something done with Josh Giddey and Coby White as well, and it sounds like that maybe AK wants to invest here into this backcourt for the long term. And so get a chance to hear that, from a Bulls executive that they would like to have Josh Giddey around long term. But like I said here before we went into the point, it's going to be interesting because, again, the reports say that the Bulls are at $20 million. If they're looking to go to 4 years at this point in time, that's $80 million. If Josh Giddey is looking for $30 million and he's looking for 5 years, again, we don't know where he's at with the years or whatnot, but that's $150 million. And so that is a big gap. And so let's see if the Chicago Bulls and Josh Giddey can come to, a middle ground here. I'm thinking at least $25 million annually here and see where it goes from there. Maybe 4 at 25 for $100 million. And yes, there's several different ways you can structure the deal too. And so that's why I think it's going to be interesting how this thing plays out. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and talk about another player that has been in some trade rumors. And this is also a player that AK really expressed that he wants to keep around here, and that is Coby White. And so this was the last point out of the 5 points in that article. And so here it is on Coby White. It says that the contract is what it is. We probably can't extend him because the rules don't allow for us to pay him enough, a Bulls front office executive said. But we want Coby to be a Bull for a long time. He knows how we feel about him. All right. And so once again, this kind of goes into again, that point that I just talked about with AK, and just paraphrasing that, it sounds like that he definitely wants to invest into Josh Giddey and Coby White. I think we all saw actually what Coby White and Josh Giddey could do towards the end of the season. The question is going to be now that they're coming into camp, they already hopefully get a chance to keep the same roles and nothing varies that way. And so now can they pick up where they left off? Because if they do, it's going to be interesting here, because that as Coby White continues to ball out here, the value for him is going to go up for that next contract. And so, do the Bulls continue to hold on? Are they going to entertain any kind of trade offers or anything like that? Because one of the things that Casey Johnson had said was that he heard a lot more trade buzz around Ayo Dosunmu than Coby White. And so I think that if they do go ahead and they keep Coby White, then this means that when they get down to free agency, any team can go out there and get Coby White. And if Coby White decides to go ahead and sign a deal with another team, there is no matching the offer sheet here. And so this is a totally different situation from Josh Giddey. And so I think that this is going to be an interesting play for the Chicago Bulls, because they do have the potential risk of losing him for nothing. And so that is why, if they're not looking to trade him, then it could turn interesting if that scenario plays out like that in the offseason. But anyway, we're far away from that. But just wanted to go ahead and throw that point out there, that it looks that the Chicago Bulls definitely want to keep Coby White. And so next, let's go ahead and let's jump into what was said about Matas Buzelis here. And so going to the third point, it says that Matas Buzelis, he's going to be really, really good. He wants it so damn bad. This kid pushes himself so hard, and you see that on the floor too. But it's the quiet moments when you see him work. He's widely intense about getting better and improving, a Bulls coach said. And so, look, this goes into why we love Matas Buzelis. And this is something that we saw from Matas Buzelis countless times, I think, in his rookie season, and then going back really to his summer league performances when I first saw him, you could tell it was something different about Matas Buzelis. Like, Matas Buzelis is the type of guy that if he sees a wall, he's trying to run through it. And I love that about Matas Buzelis. And I think that right there is what you need outside of the stats to turn this team around, which is why I think that Matas Buzelis is poised to have a huge impact on this season. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, well, you know what? He was, he had some spurts last season, and now he's going into year two. I still think that, other players are going to be more of a factor. I think that there's a chance that Matas Buzelis can absolutely step up here in this next year. And I do really feel like that they are going to feature Matas Buzelis some more on the offensive end, because remember, when they finished down the stretch with that 15-5 record, he averaged 13 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. Now, I get he's going to have to show a little bit more with his game, with the mid-range and everything else. But I liked what we saw in the limited time in Summer League, the fact that he's worked on his ball handling and everything else, because he will probably have to be a little bit more of a creator that way. And I think that as he shows that he can be a creator, you can trust that Billy Donovan is going to trust him more with the basketball, especially in the half-court sets, because we're going to talk about the style of play that the Chicago Bulls want to run with the up and down and everything else. But at some point, somebody outside of Coby White and Vooch have got to be able to put the basketball on the deck and get their offense at any given time. And so hopefully that is going to be Matas Buzelis. But I love the fact that you are hearing it from the coaching staff. This is something that we already knew. And so I'm excited for Matas Buzelis going into year number two. And so next, let's go ahead and talk about this playing style and this young core, because I'm definitely excited about this. I think it's just a matter of just the Bulls really putting it together. And so here is what was said here. This was the fourth point on the list here. And so it said, last year we played pretty fast. I think we can play even faster next season. Our roster is built for it. And you saw with Indiana and OKC in the finals that playing with pace is so important. We're going to get after it on defense, force turnovers, and then get out and run. That suits Matas Buzelis and Noa Essengue and our young forwards and all our guards really well. We also think that Isaac Okoro will benefit in a more up-tempo style too. There's untapped potential there, a Bulls coach said. And so, look, I think that there is absolutely some untapped potential here with the Chicago Bulls. Now, will they get to that? That's going to be the question. I mean, starting with Noa Essengue, I think with him, when you hear that he has a similar type of mindset to Matas Buzelis, like I love that. And that is somewhat what I saw in the summer league in the limited time with him, because when you look at game one, struggled with the physicality, but he didn't shy away from it. He came back and he was aggressive, I think, in game two. And I love the fact that he got injured and then he was able to fight through that too and come back. And so that tells me a lot about Noa Essengue. And also, too, it tells me a lot about him because he did not shy away from shooting the three-point shot. There were times where he literally missed the floor with air balls and stuff like that. But still, I love the fact that he shot it. And I like his form. I think it's something that is not really the issue. I think it's going to come down to confidence. It's going to come down to rhythm and everything else, and understanding that he's going to have to make defenses pay when they give him that shot. Now, he's young. He's coming in. We've heard that, look, he is going to be a development piece here for the Chicago Bulls. And so you can certainly see that. But I love how he played to his strength out there, which is slashing, which is running, which I think that is probably what is going to be the bread and butter for him on offense in year one. And I think that defensively, he's shown enough in the summer league. Now, can he get that to translate in the NBA? Because if he plays the type of defense that we saw in the summer league, where he was willing, to be very active off ball. Also, too, you see that he was able to get up and show his ability to block shots and use his length that way. I know he doesn't necessarily have the physicality just yet because he's not strong, but man, with that athletic frame and his willingness to play defense, he certainly can be, I think, an irritant against opposing offenses here. And so I think that is probably how he will find his way onto the floor. And I love the fact that the system is really built for him to, I think, use, his raw athleticism to actually get some points here in the beginning. I know he's going to have to develop a little bit more, but I like the fact that, yes, him and Matas are going to fit just fine. Now, the one thing in that quote where it talks about Isaac Okoro, I think that is really where it's going to be interesting for me, because with Isaac Okoro, I just think like this. He's going to get some opportunities out there with the Chicago Bulls on the offensive end. But the question is, will it be enough as far as the volume that you're going to get from Isaac Okoro? And also, I just wonder, is it one of those things where he's going to get into the starting lineup? Is he coming off the bench? What is that going to look like? And so going back to that as well, talked about getting after teams defensively. I think that that's probably one of the biggest question marks for the Chicago Bulls, is what are they going to do defensively? Because, there's talk around Ayo Dosunmu, and hopefully they do not trade him. I'm not in the camp of trading him. I want to be clear about that. But, with Ayo, and then also too with Isaac Okoro, I think that both of these guys are going to really cause a lot of teams problems out there. And I trust them defensively a lot more than what I would trust Patrick Williams at this point, even though he's shown some flashes here. But I think the real question for the Bulls is, like, can they stop anything inside? I think that was probably one of the biggest issues for them, is like, man, teams were able to score in the paint. So you got to make the perimeter defense between Ayo Dosunmu and then Isaac Okoro is definitely going to help you there. But still, you've got to be able to get some stops inside. So some optimism here. I think that coming into year two, the fact that we're essentially running it back, we talked about that yesterday. I mean, this team really didn't make any type of major changes like that. And so I think that type of continuity will help the team going into this year. I just talked about, perhaps the roles not changing for a guy like Coby White, not changing for a guy like Josh Giddey, because I do think that they had to adjust down the stretch. And so them coming in, understanding the offense, and then also too coming back with the same role is certainly going to help our team. I think that, we get off to a lot quicker start than we probably did last season. And I'll say it again, I think that they are going to really overcome or go over what they are predicted as far as the wins, because we talked about that yesterday at the 32.5 wins. And so I definitely think that the Bulls are going to be over that, and I think that they are going to be a play-in team. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you think that the Chicago Bulls are invested into Josh Giddey and Coby White long-term as far as the backcourt? What are you guys thinking here about Matas Buzelis and his work ethic? And then let me know what you guys are thinking here about the potential of the Chicago Bulls this upcoming season with these young forwards that we have. Also, to adding a defender in Isaac Okoro, a guy that's going to have an opportunity to figure some things out offensively. How much he figures it out, we'll see how that goes. Is he a guy that's going to turn into more volume with this offense? I think that is something that's going to be interesting, especially when you're talking about tapping the maybe unlocked potential. Can he show that with these opportunities, he can take off offensively? I think we're going to find out about that. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.